Okay, here we are at the RPM Development Center, Test and Art Development Center, here in the middle of Sherry's kitchen. This was the fourth trip just fixing this particular leg mount, right? Correct?
It's like the 8th time I welded on it.
Yeah, I mean, even welding up the plugs here, we had problems, and he had to go back, as you can see. This side, right from the get-go, was okay, except this one little corner. One touch there, boom, this side's done. It's really been this one here that's been the monster that's been giving us trouble. And let me see if I can get the flashlight in here. You shine the flashlight, and I'll point it out. Folks, if you can see right down in there, is it still streaming out?
Yeah, just barely.
Right from way down in here, there are some tiny little micro bubbles of air coming out of this thing. And we have right here, this little bubble right here. Boop. See, I can move it right along. Look at that. We'll just move it out of the way, and it's just seeping. As you can see, it'll just start seeping right out of there again. These two tiny little, I mean, that thing there, I don't even know if you can if you can measure the size of those bubbles. They're so micro tiny. And at this point, if you go back, there's so much contamination in this aluminum and in this welding. And I'm not blaming John. We're obviously not blaming you. You had problems with this, and I mentioned to you about the CNR core and how I had to remove that coating to weld my cans on and didn't have any trouble. I guess I assumed the salesman guy or whoever he was, the engineer guy that I dealt with, was going to tell you to do the same thing. And I believe that's why you had the trouble you had welding your cans on, because the sealing process is sealing all these tubes to that header is for lack of a better term, it's a sweating process, the same way you sweat copper pipes together, but it's done in a machine, in a liquid type stuff, and it gets on everything. So you got to kind of grind it off where you're going to weld, especially because you didn't need the sealer up here. That's just how they do the process at the manufacturing company. So what I have in the trailer, and I've dealt with this core or radiator supply place online a while back when we were having a lot of trouble. Part of the, if you go back through the videos of the water temperature issues we had with the go-kart, at one point we got I think it was a Creek radiator from Scotty from Fiesler. Said it worked on his cart. It was the same one that was in his cart. He had two of them made. He said he took that one out just to put the other one in, because he had run it for 4 or 5 years and just wanted to run the other one. When I got it, of course, it had a leak, and the leak was down here where one of these cooling tubes go into the header, and it was down in between the fins, so you couldn't get to it really. So I do what I do. I get on the internet and I start searching around. I find this radiator company. They have this
epoxy or
plastic. It's like a stick, but it's coiled up. It's real thin. It's about a 1/16 of an inch diameter. It's real thin, but it's made just for fixing these header tube issues. If you can get in there, you take a piece of Scotch-Brite on a stick, on a poker. To sand it, rough it up, wire brush it, get it clean, hose it down with acetone, and then you heat it up. I heated it up down in there with a little micro torch so we didn't get anything else hot. And then kept dabbing this stuff in there, and then whoop! I mean, it just flattened right out, all by itself. It just flattened right out. So, and it sealed it all up, and we never had another problem again. So, thanks. There's the wife wanting to put something in the
handoff
in the R&D department here at RPM Incorporated, RPM Worldwide, worldwide. Me and Rich on boats and hose. That's next. Maybe we will get you a video of that sometime. You never know. But what I think we're going to do here is we're going to try to use that glue, for lack of a better term, that sealer, because the leaks are so super minor. If we take a welding torch to this thing again, they're just going to get worse.
Yeah.
And this could literally go on forever and ever and ever. And that can't happen. We got to get this thing sealed up. John, I know, has done stuff like this where he put a vacuum on the radiator after getting it all clean, like we would have to do to glue or seal from the outside, and he's put JB Weld on it and sucked the JB Weld right into the hole. He has radiators on carts he's running like that and been running for years. Isn't that right, John? In the comments, tell them how you do it. I mean, when you're at the track, you do what you got to do, right? And then if it keeps working, why fix what ain't broke? Right?
Exactly.
May not be orthodox, but that's what you do. So here we go, number 33. 33.
Yeah, the whole thing is this aluminum material acts like it has a clear anodize on it. And as soon as you strike an arc on it, it goes to black smoke, and the material gets all black and gray and crusty. And I ended
Anybody that welds knows what you're talking about.
Yeah,
It's nasty.
Getting a little Tootsie Roll grinder in there to clean the crap back up, and I drilled a bigger hole in the little hole that was there, and it seemed to seal up and be good.
But then it moved.
Yeah.
Then it moved to small porosity in there. And
Whatever
stuff, so.
this coating or whatever was on this aluminum is just evil. It does not want to cooperate and weld. And I hate to think that I'm a...
She's holding 12 pounds. Well, it was holding 12 pounds. We're leaking a little bit from our plastic plugs a little too, but...
Yeah, it's just it's hard to deal with because it doesn't want to cooperate, and it's in such a tight spot that it's not like you can go back in there and rewire wheel it or wire brush it. You just can't get in to do that.
So this is what we're going to do. We're at this point we'll post this video. We're going to post up number 32 because that's the last one I was hanging on to. We'll post up this one, which is 33.
Yep.
And we'll let John take a look. We'll call him and tell him take a look. And he can make the call. I know that sealer stuff is going to work, man. It did amazing work with Fiesler's radiator. I ran the guts out of that thing, although it didn't cool my engine off enough. It did seal up that radiator.
Yeah, it didn't leak.
And with the super ultra high temperatures we got out of that thing that made the ignition misfire, 160, 70 degrees of water temp, the radiator never leaked. And I still have that radiator, and it's still available to anybody out there. I'll put it in a box and mail it to you. Just leave us an address below, and we'll look for the check in the mailbox. So for number 33 in the can, we're trying, man. We're trying the best we can to get all this stuff done. So
we won't give up, I promise.
That's it. Hang in there. Pray for us. We're praying for you. Hang in there, y'all. It'll get better.